Good day, my plant foldies. This is Richie at Grow Folds, and today we'll be grocery store plant shopping at the Kroger off of Custer Road in Frisco, Texas. As always, please make sure you're hitting that like button, as well as following me on Instagram at Grow Folds if you want to directly connect with me or just see what I'm doing on my daily adventures. Also, if you like 1 hour plant shopping videos daily, please hit the subscribe button with the notification bell on. I am just going to be going to Kroger, and Kroger grocery store is a perfect place to find plants. I am actually looking for that special rare philodendron that apparently they had released. Kroger grocery store has been a place where I've found some rare philodendrons and even that Monstera Thai constellation. This is the one Kroger grocery store that I typically visit, but I will look at some of their flowering plants first. So whenever you go to a grocery store, most of the plants are always going to be in the floral section. And you can see right off the bat, they've got like the 4th of July type wrapping here. And we are picking up a Kalanchoe here. This is only for $11.99. That is a really good price for a 6-inch planter of Kalanchoe. And then you can see right over here, we've got a bunch of beautiful chrysanthemums. I'm just going to take my time today and really show you guys all of the beautiful plants to my plant foldies. And if you're new to my channel, I call my viewers and subscribers plant foldies. Welcome. I will definitely just show you all of the details of the plants. Like for instance, this one has another like American inspired planter. You can see this is just a white chrysanthemum or a mum. Actually, these chrysanthemum can be planted in a landscape. They are considered perennial. So if you were to plant them in the ground, depending on your grow zone, they will come back year after year. What'll happen is you'll have to just chop up the plant all the way down to the base and it will regrow. Sorry. And then over here, we've got a gerbera daisy. I love the look of a gerbera daisy. This one is for $5.99. Really like the look of this. And it's interesting because this is the product of Canada. So apparently these are being sourced out from Canada. I've got a lot of viewers and subscribers from Canada, so shout out to my Canadian plant foldies. You guys mentioned that a lot of your plants aren't nearly as full as some of the nurseries I've shown in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, which is where I'm based at. So it's interesting that that plant came from Canada. And then you can see right here, I'm just picking up a lot of these chrysanthemums. This is another beautiful one as well. Really like the look of this chrysanthemum. I just find them very interesting, and I remember for the longest time I actually got an obsession of chrysanthemum. I ended up like doing a lot of chrysanthemum bonsai. They're very easy to take care of. You can grow them indoors, but with chrysanthemums you have to make sure that you are providing it with quite a bit of light. Chrysanthemums in general prefer lots of light. I mean, when you think about it, any flowering plant, for the most part, except a couple of plants, really prefer more light because it takes a lot more energy for the plant to produce a bloom. And then you can see over here, this one is more of like a variegated chrysanthemum. I really like the look of this one as well. It just gives me this like candy cane vibe about it. So plant foldies, let me know in the comment section if you've actually taken care of chrysanthemum, if you've actually grown chrysanthemum. Really love the look of chrysanthemums. And then this one too is really interesting. This is another version of a chrysanthemum. So one thing I will tell you about myself is I love Japanese culture. And when it comes to chrysanthemum, the Japanese have actually had many festivals. They've hybridized chrysanthemum. In Japan, they call them kiku. And there are just so many different varieties of chrysanthemum. They have some chrysanthemum are literally hybridized for just one big single bloom. And they have many festivals for it. So if you get a chance, maybe Google search chrysanthemums. Those are an interesting look for sure. And I just really like the look of chrysanthemums and just the festivals that they have in Japan. Over here, we have what they call a Hedera helix, or what the correct way to say it is the Hedera helix, or English ivy. For those that have been following my YouTube channel, you already know I mispronounced that on purpose. And then take a look at this stunning yellow chrysanthemum right over here. They almost look like sunflowers or even daisies. Look at how electrifying this is right over here. Beautiful looking plant. This one is for $9.99. I really like the look of chrysanthemums. Beautiful looking plant right here again. And look at that yellow foliage. I just want to kind of pan away and show you guys just the detail of this chrysanthemum. And then for my viewers that are watching today, don't worry, I will feature a lot of the indoor tropical plants, but I did want to just take a little bit more time on the floral area just to show you what plants they have available here. So I'm just going to pan over and just keep showing you all of these beautiful flowers. You can see over here we've got a Philodendron squamiferum. This one is for $19.99. So these have actually been released a couple weeks back. I've noticed that while this is a beautiful philodendron, it is one of those more uncommon philodendrons, or at least in a couple years back. These philodendron haven't really sold at Kroger, so I'm curious to see if they're going to actually clearance them out. And then over here for $17.99 is a 6-inch planter of a Chinese money tree, or a Pilea peperomoides. This is another plant that is on my bucket list to add to my collection. As I do this video, this is actually the day before I fly out to the Philippines. I'm super excited to be taking a vacation there. For those that don't know, my family is originally from the Philippines, and I have not been back to the Philippines in more than a decade. So I'm super excited to go, but at the same time, I am a little bit nervous that maybe you guys may not tune into my videos while I am gone. I'll be gone for about 18 days, but if you haven't noticed, or if you're subscribed to my channel, you will notice that I have several plant shopping videos that are scheduled to premiere each day. I'm really excited to show you all of my plant shopping marathons, so I hope you guys will tune in. They are longer format videos, just because a lot of you guys like to go on the live premiere chats and interact with each other. I just want to make sure that we maintain that community, so definitely stay tuned for that. But I am super excited to still show you guys all of these plants. I actually decided to do this plant shopping video to film it instead of packing, so I am down to the wire for it, but it is for the love of the Grow Folds community, my plant foldy community. You guys really bring so much joy to me, especially when I see all of you guys leaving comments, hitting that like button, and interacting with me on a daily basis or nightly basis on the live premiere chats. But you can see right here for $17.99, this is an Epipremnum aureum marble queen pothos. I love pothos plants. I would say that pothos plants will remain as one of my classic, easy to care for plants. And then here is another Hydra helix. Gotta love that English ivy. And then this is the one that you will see often at a Kroger grocery store. I have decided that English ivy are just not meant to grow indoors. I think it's going to make it easier for me to accept the fact that I have killed 14 English ivies, or better yet, I have sent 14 English ivy to plant heaven. Now with English ivy, they prefer bright indirect light. If you can provide a little bit more humidity, that is better, because these plants are highly, when I say highly, spider mite prone. For some reason, spider mites just love English ivy. And then over here is another Epipremnum aureum marble queen pothos. Again, marble queen pothos, it's just a beautiful plant. This one has a little bit more green on it, but you know what? The leaves are larger. It looks a little bit more robust. If you are a beginner to houseplants, or you need a beginner houseplant to start off with, I would recommend even a marble queen pothos or any type of pothos plant. Super easy to grow. They can tolerate lower light conditions. They are pretty vigorous in their growth, and I just really like the look of the pothos plant. They can be grown on a totem pole, and when they do and they attach their aerial roots, they actually get larger and larger leaves. In the wild, they are considered epiphytes, so they want to attach to something. Their natural inclination is actually to grow up, just like most like Aroids or Philodendron. And then over here, what a beautiful chrysanthemum. Again, this is only for $9.99. So if I was more into like flowering plants to grow indoors, I would definitely purchase that. I went through a phase where I did buy a bunch of chrysanthemum. Typically chrysanthemum show up in cycles. You'll see a lot of chrysanthemum actually in the United States around the fall season for some reason. And then over here, we've got a beautiful blooming anthurium. This one is for $14.99. I have been meaning to collect a little bit more of these blooming anthuriums. What I like the most, aside from the beautiful like colorful blooms, is I love just the leaves. That nice heart shape leaf or arrowhead leaf shape with that waxy texture around it. It is just a beautiful plant. I love plants that have that natural shine to it, and this is one plant that has definitely got that natural shine. It is another plant that I would highly recommend. It's another plant that is just really nice to grow in a houseplant collection because it's very easy. Now, this plant does require a little bit more bright indirect light. I wouldn't really recommend putting it in a lower light condition. It could tolerate it, but you're really not going to get a lot of growth out of it. Now, as far as watering, this anthurium needs to just dry out completely, or at least 50%, and then you can just soak it with water, and then it should be good to go. It is a very easy to care for plant. I would say, as far as plant pests, it doesn't really get a lot of plant pests. Maybe susceptible to mealybugs, but I don't really see it getting spider mites. Leave it in the comments though, plant foldies, if you've ever had an anthurium like this, just as common a floral anthurium, and if you've had like certain pests that just attack it. I just love the look of it. And then I'm just going to keep showing you guys all of the beautiful flowers they have available so far. And you can see that there are some beautiful, beautiful flowers indeed. That's the thing I will recommend as far as a grocery store, especially this particular Kroger marketplace. They definitely know how to style their plants. Like, look at that beautiful planter here. And I do like the dark foliage on this anthurium. But as far as just their displays and presentation at this particular Kroger, hands down, one of the best grocery stores that present plants. They always have healthy plants. And that's the thing about grocery store plant shopping. For the most part, you will never really see any plants that are really declining in health. Most grocery stores will treat floral or house plants as if they were like produce. They want to make sure that they are fresh. And if they're not, if the plants are slightly damaged or just looking like they're not doing as well, they will clearance them out. And so you will always find really good deals at like this particular Kroger, for instance. You can even see here, I haven't seen a lot of cyclamen in the works, but I've noticed that they are available year round. I would always think that cyclamen prefer cooler climates. This one is for $9.99, but apparently you can still find cyclamen year round. So that's super cool. And then over here for $5.99, that is not a bad price at all for this beautiful red kalanchoe. I have noticed that this particular kalanchoe variety is readily available in so many different colors. I find it endearing. It's one that if you're gonna ever like bring a plant like flowers, I just recommend bringing somebody a potted up flower like this right here. This gerbera daisy, also for $4.99. That is a beautiful gerbera daisy. Would be a really nice present. That way it will last longer versus cut flowers. That's just my opinion. So if you ever want to give me flowers, definitely just get me like a gerbera daisy. I would love an azalea simpsii or indoor azalea or any of these plants that I've shown you guys today. Chrysanthemums, that's another thing. So feel free to send me some flowers if you like, plant foldies. And then you can see right here, this is another Hydra helix. This one is actually an arrangement that Kroger did for $69.99. So they mixed like a bromeliad, a kalanchoe, and then they've got a English ivy. So that's the only thing I will say about grocery stores, is that they will really I suppose, package their house plants or indoor plants as more of like some type of gift that you would give to somebody. And then over here is another place that I want to take a little bit more time in. It's going to be the Philodendron orchids. So you'll see that they've got some beautiful cascading orchids right here. And I'm going to take the time to really show you the beautiful blooms of these orchids. Like whenever I look at these cascading orchids, these are the Matsui cascading orchids. Absolutely stunning. And then these are actually sourced out from California. They are $29.99, but I just love the fact that they've got it cascading. They've got a little support that has them kind of hang over here, but you can see that Philodendron orchids, they can tolerate lower light conditions, but they do best with bright indirect light. And you can see there's so many different varieties. You can see that this is a little bit smaller. This is the teacup series. You can see that this has a beautiful pink stripe around, like pink striping around it. Now this one I believe is going to be for $14.99 or something like that, $9.99. If you're ever wanting to buy some really nice Philodendron orchids, I would highly recommend buying them from Kroger grocery store if you have Kroger grocery stores. Another place would be Trader Joe's. They have some really good Philodendron orchids. And as far as a big box store, I would recommend Lowe's. Lowe's has a lot of varieties of Philodendron orchids. Now this one right here is for $9.99. Super cute. It can make a really good desktop type plant. Now, mind you, most of these blooms will only last for about a month and a half, and then it'll take a little bit of time for them to rebloom again. Now, as far as the care tips, you want to make sure that you're growing your Philodendron orchids or orchids in general in a orchid bark mixture. You don't want to plant these ever in soil. Their roots will rot and they will die because most orchids are what you call epiphytes. Again, in the wild, they have aerial roots and just roots that kind of attached to like trees. They kind of just attach to themselves. You'll see these actual orchids even growing on crates or in sphagnum moss. Now, a lot of these smaller varieties of Philodendron orchids will be growing in sphagnum moss mixture. If you were to ask me, I would definitely repot it from the sphagnum moss mixture that it's, or the substrate that it's in. The reason being is sphagnum moss holds a little bit more moisture when you water it. Some people say, you can just water it and let the sphagnum moss dry completely, but it takes a little bit of time. On a safer side, I would just say repot it in orchid bark. And over here is a really cute little Haworthia. That is a succulent that can tolerate lower light conditions. But to go back to all of these Philodendron orchids, some people may not be into it. Honestly, when I first started doing plant shopping videos, I really wasn't really into Philodendron orchids. But the more I look at it, especially this evening, look at how beautiful the look of these orchids are. They come in so many different colors and varieties, and it is just amazing. Like, I can't even fathom just how gorgeous these orchids are. And it's one of those things where, like, I think that if I ended up like finding the right orchids, I may end up just developing another orchid obsession. Like, look at this one right here. I actually like that orange one I picked up, and even this one right here. Look at how beautiful the faces of these blooms are. Look at that. Super nice orchid. When I come back from the Philippines, I may reevaluate on whether I want to make like an orchid wall and just have a bunch of orchids on one of my house walls. We'll see what that looks like. Now, the Philippines will have many different types of orchids, and I'm curious to see what the plant pricing is for orchids. I heard that it's extremely inexpensive to purchase plants in the Philippines, obviously because the climate in the Philippines is going to be more suitable for these tropical plants. We have a lot of Vanda orchids, and one Vanda orchid I would recommend. It is one of the most beautiful Vanda orchids you will ever see. It's called a Waling. Waling. It is spelled W-A-L-I-N-G. W-A-L-I-N-G. Please Google search it. It is such a beautiful Vanda orchid in the Philippines. It is an endangered species just because a lot of people have been plant poaching it, but it is one that I think is just magnificent. It is majestic. It will make all of these orchids that I'm looking at just not even as beautiful. And you can see here, so notice that this is a blue orchid. This is not a natural occurring color for an orchid. What they do is they actually have a food coloring dye that will dye white orchids to get this blue color. So what will happen is you'll get the blue color or whatever dye that they put it in, for the plant to actually absorb. And then once the flower blooms die off, it will rebloom back as either like a yellow, a white orchid. So I find that interesting. I do think that it looks too unnatural for my taste to have a blue orchid. It just looks unnatural to me. So plant foldies, let me know in the comments if you agree, if you're into that. That's your prerogative for sure. But for me, I really like naturally occurring plants. You can even see here, these are beautiful. I love the pastel yellow, for instance, on these Philodendron orchids. And then as I pan away, you can see this has a beautiful purple variety. This is almost natural looking, if that makes any sense, but it is definitely not. It is one of those orchids, again, that have been dyed. What happens is they'll just infuse it, and we'll see what that looks like. But you can see here, it does state that these will rebloom as like white or yellow. So we'll definitely see what that entails for sure. And then you can see right off the bat, there are more Philodendron orchids, and I'm just going to spin around and show you, but look at how beautiful this one is. Notice these are the Philodendron orchids that have been dyed or infused with some food coloring type dye. We've got the blue ones, we've got the purple ones right over here. I like them. I don't know, plant foldies, but it just wouldn't be something that I would add to my collection. Now, I may consider adding something like this. This is another highly pink Philodendron orchid, but this one again is another one that was just dyed. This is not a naturally occurring type of color for a Philodendron orchid. And so that's the thing that's interesting, because I remember when I was in elementary school, we had a teacher that showed us how to make carnation flowers any color we wanted. So we ended up like taking a bowl, sticking a bunch of food coloring in it, and putting stems of white carnation flowers, and like within 2 to 3 days they were infused with the dye, and they ended up like being the color we wanted. So really interesting that they actually do that for these Philodendron orchids. You can see we've got even more Philodendron orchids right over here. Now these are more of the natural or colorful, the colors of Philodendron orchid. Plant foldies, I am curious, have you guys grown Philodendron orchids in your plant collection? What do you think of them? I think they are absolutely beautiful. Like, look at this right here. I just love the speckling of the blooms as well. Now, what I would say about buying Philodendron orchids is, if you're gonna buy one, try to find one like this where it has some of the blooms out, but then they still have a couple of buds that need to open up. Now this one, for instance, is for $19.99, and the only reason why I say try to buy one that doesn't have all of the blooms opened up, that means that you will have the blooms last a little bit longer. I typically do that. Now, as far as a Philodendron orchid, I only have one Philodendron orchid in my plant collection, and that is a variegated Philodendron orchid, which I found at this particular grocery store. I ended up sending a variegated Philodendron orchid to Planting with Pete. He has a really nice YouTube channel, so if you get a chance, please check that out. And then you can see over here, we've got a Philodendron orchid with, I think, an air plant. Plant foldies, let me know in the comments if that is an air plant. But you can see here, this is another beautiful example of just a white Philodendron orchid. As I pan away, it looks like you've got a bonus plant right here, and I really like the look of that as well. White flowers or white blooms in general have like an elegant looking presentation about it. I don't know, there's something about white blooms, and that's the reason why I love white flowers. I also love pink flowers and yellow flowers. I just like color in general. I talk about plants that I'm really into, and I would say that's the reason why I love Aglaonema. I love Coleus, absolutely love Coleus. And then as far as like even flowers, I would even say the Philodendron orchids, even after taking a little bit more time to show you guys today, look at how beautiful it is. So plant foldies, do you think you'll end up buying yourself a Philodendron orchid? If I could only take plants back from the Philippines, I would totally do that. I have seen a couple of YouTube videos of just some of the plant shopping videos. So if you are wanting wanting to see some international plant shopping videos, definitely make sure you hit the subscribe button for my YouTube channel at Growfolds with the notification bell on, because while I attempt to try and get people live premiere scheduled at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, sometimes that doesn't happen. Life gets in the way. My job is super demanding. I work at least a minimum of 10 hours as a salaried manager, and it's one of those things where I have to balance that out. So I'm actually really thankful that I've been able to get 2 weeks off from work just to unwind and enjoy, family, my friends. The reason why I am going to the Philippines is because of my grandmother, but also to celebrate my brother's 40th birthday. So it's just got a lot of things going on. I will be going to Puerto Princesa, Palawan, and also Bohol, and obviously living the nightlife out in Manila. So there's just a lot of things that I will definitely present to you guys. If you aren't following me on Instagram at Growfolds, please do, because I will be posting daily plant stories, daily stories, to where you can really follow me through my Philippines journey. So if you don't have an Instagram, go ahead and create one. That is a really easy social media format. You'll get all of the details of my trip there. But I would say out of all the Philodendron orchids, I think this is my favorite one that I would pick. Look at how cool the look of that bloom is. It's got a beautiful face on it. These are just a really interesting variety right here. I mean, I don't know. Plant foldies, let me know what you think. That one is probably the most interesting looking one, and you can see there is another one like this. I would assume that each one would potentially have a plant ID. Let me know if that is the case, or if there's just so many varieties of Philodendron orchids. It's kind of like Rex begonia, where they've hybridized it to the point where they really don't have any cultivar names. I am curious, do you think this is the best looking Philodendron orchid? If you want, you can just leave timestamp comments on what Philodendron orchid that I've showed you today as your favorite one. But I'm going to pan away here and just show you the beauty of this whole display. Like, this is an amazing display by the Kroger marketplace off of Custer Road in Frisco, Texas. This is literally right across the street from the H-E-B grocery store. My thought was just, I had a little thought blank right there. But as you can see over here, now we're going to be looking at all of the indoor tropical plants. Really love the look of that as well. This is a really interesting setup, and you can see here we've got a Hedera helix. Gotta love that Hedera helix, or English ivy. This is a variegated form, and this one is for $19.99. So the thing about English ivy is, if you're going to grow them indoors, they definitely are going to get spider mites, or at least for me, that's what's happened. And a lot of people have mentioned that, Hedera helix is one of the most challenging plants. I remember even Amanda at Plantarina, when she had her YouTube channel, she even mentioned that she just can't keep an English ivy alive. So for somebody that's even as experienced as her, it is a challenging plant. Does that mean that you shouldn't get an English ivy if you like it? No. I think that if you want to grow an English ivy in your collection, just know that you'll have to keep up with the care tips. I would say grow them outdoors. They're never going to get spider mites, or at least the likelihood is going to be less, and it's just going to grow easier. And then over here we've got a black rabbit's foot fern. This one I believe is for $10.99. Beautiful plant again. I don't have any fern in my collection. And then over here, I think this is another polka dot plant. This is the white splash polka dot plant. I really like the look of that as well. And this one it's got some nice white foliage. The only thing about this plant is you really don't want the plant to dry out completely. This one is for $9.99. I haven't had the best luck with that. So for me, I would rather just not grow a plant that is going to take a little bit more care. And then you can see right over here, this is a black rabbit's foot fern. Again, you can see that the aerial roots are more of a fuzzy texture to it. That's really cool. Some people are creeped out by it. Some people will say that it looks more like a tarantula leg. So I don't know. I have seen some hanging baskets from Costa Farms that has it. And then over here, this is a lemon button fern. I like that as well. This is also not a bad looking fern, but I'm just not really into it. Some people may be into ferns. I don't really have any fern in my collection because I just feel like they're going to require a little bit more humidity, or better yet, I just have little issues where it's going to take a little bit more care in terms of the watering. So we'll see what that all looks like. And again, we got a beautiful Hoya carnosa right over here. Again, with Hoya carnosa, it is a plant that is quite common in terms of what the Hoya is. But the thing about Kroger is Kroger provides a lot of beautiful Hoyas. You would be surprised about the amount of people that actually go to a grocery store not thinking about buying plants. That was me a little while back, but then when I slowed down and started looking at the floral area, I realized that Kroger actually has quite a bit of nice plants to pick from. It is exciting to see that there's even a Hoya compacta right over here for $10.99. And then we've got some more different types of plants to take a look at. We've got a Hoya caryi, for instance, right here. Now, I was able to find a beautiful variegated Hoya caryi for $7.99 a little while back. And that was super exciting because you never really think that you would find something like that, something uncommon. But when you go to a grocery store, and that's why sometimes being aware of your surroundings when it comes to just places that you wouldn't think to buy plants, sometimes those are the places that you'll find really cool plants. Like for instance, this peperomia camouflage. Really love the look of peperomia camouflage. It is another plant that I definitely was able to add to my plant collection. Originally, I saw it for $14.99, but then when I actually went out back to it, I realized that I got it on clearance, and I ended up getting it only for I think like $3.99. They were able to just get it on clearance. And then here is another Epipremnum aureum, Enjoy Pothos. Really love the look of Epipremnum aureum, Enjoy Pothos. This is another plant, and this one is for $10.99 as well. What I appreciate about it is it has some really nice variegation, and it's got variegation that will not really revert even if you don't provide it with the best lighting conditions. It is an exciting pothos plant. It is a slower growing pothos plant, so you'll have to bear with its growth habit, but at the end of the day, if you're able to grow this on a totem pole or moss pole, it will definitely get really large in its size. So that's another thing I like about the pothos plant. And then over here we've got another Philodendron squamiferum. Here's the thing about Philodendron squamiferum showing up at the grocery store like Kroger. It is another one where I think it's just a little bit more, I think there's just not a lot of hype around it, because even when I went to Kroger, it was another plant that really hasn't sold through. And that's a little bit unfortunate because it is a beautiful philodendron. My fear is that with the surplus of like different types of Philodendron squamiferum, at least at this Kroger, it may not sell through. And then this one is for $99, and this is an arrangement of some type of bonsai arrangement, or at least a bunch of plants that have been put in a like a shallow container like a bonsai. Now, I love bonsai, and for those that don't know what bonsai is basically the Japanese art of growing a plant in a shallow container to mimic like a tree in nature. And then over here, again, beautiful green on green variegation on this peperomia camouflage. This is another peperomia that I am fortunate to be able to add. You know, it was one of those situations when I first saw it at Kroger, I wanted to buy it, but then I had some self-restraint, and I was actually thankful that I did, because I ended up finding it at Kroger a couple of days later and they had it on clearance. So again, it is all about just being at the right place at the right time when it comes to plant shopping. I mean, even over here, this is a beautiful string of pearls, which reminds me of my home country, the Philippines. We are known as the Pearl of the Orient. There's so many beautiful pearls. I am taking a vacation to the Philippines, and I'm really excited about just taking back some pearls from my mom and my sister. And then over here, you can see this is a beautiful Epipremnum aureum golden pothos. Really love the look of an Epipremnum aureum golden pothos. This is probably one of the plants that will start everybody's plant journey. It is a common plant. is a plant that is easy to propagate. You can take cuttings from its trailing, the vining trails, and just stick them in water, and about a week or two later you'll get some roots. Really nice looking one. That one is for $17.99. That is a little bit pricey though for that size of a pothos plant. And then this is also $17.99. This is an Epipremnum aureum marble queen pothos. It's interesting that they have the blue foil wrap. I guess it's just to gear up the seasonality of 4th of July. 4th of July is literally just around the corner. That is next week. Super excited about that as well. Everybody enjoys that holiday, and it probably will be a good time to go plant shopping. I know a lot of local plant nurseries tend to do some type of holiday sales, so that's another time. If you're looking for a sale or some type of deal, definitely shop during the holiday or during a holiday. That is that's another tip of mine. And then over here we've got a Pilea peperomoides and another Epipremnum aureum enjoy pothos, another beautiful pothos plant. This one is for $13.99, and again, if you are able to grow this plant on a totem pole or a moss pole, it will definitely get larger leaves. And when I say that it has some beautiful variegation in the large form, that is just an understatement. I went to PlantCon 2024, and I'm actually excited to go to PlantCon 2024 in Dallas, August 31st, September 1st. So we are actually doing a plant folding meetup there. So hopefully you'll end up buying some tickets because the tickets are on sale. But I saw an Epipremnum aureum enjoy pothos on a totem pole. It was selling for quite a bit of money though, but I can understand why, because the leaves are really, really large and beautiful. Same thing with this Hoya carrii right over here. Really like the look of this Hoya carrii. Over here, we've got a beautiful Spathiphyllum or peace lily. This is a large peace lily, only for $19.99. So that is actually a really good deal. Peace lilies are very low light tolerant. They're just very thirsty plants. And then this is a low light tolerant plant. This is a Dracaena lemon lime for $19.99. I do think that pricing for this Dracaena is a little bit pricey, but again, this is another plant that is highly underrated. I don't see a lot of people running to the store to buy Dracaenas. I think everybody should add that to their collection because it's such an easy to care for plant and it's beautiful. And then over here, we've got a Ficus elastica burgundy, another classic ficus. Beautiful plant as well. It's another easy to care for plant. It would be another plant that I would highly recommend adding into your collection. Now with ficus plants, they're typically not a beginner plant, but with the rubber tree or Ficus elastica, they're not as fussy as some of the other ficus plants. So that would be one that I would say is intermediate level plant parenthood. And then over here, these are easy to care for plant parenthood plants. These are the Spathiphyllums again, or peace lilies. Beautiful plants. They can tolerate really low light conditions. The only problem is it's a very dramatic plant. So if you don't water the plant for a certain amount of time, it will just start to droop and look like it's about to die. But then when you water it, it perks back up in like an hour or two. Just really interesting how certain plants have that characteristic. And then over here, we've got another Hoya carnosa. This one has mostly like green foliage. I'm not really a fan of like the tin can that it's in. When you talk about certain planters, I really like planters that really accentuate the plant. I look for planters that are a little bit more modern contemporary, very minimalistic. I like planters that have like matte finishes as far as glaze. And then over here, we have another creeping fig, a variegated creeping fig. Now this one would be another plant that does need quite a bit of bright indirect light or just bright light in general for it to really thrive. And that's the thing, plant foldies. We really have to assess what type of lighting conditions we have in our homes. Sometimes plants just don't do well, and people will often wonder why. A lot of times it's usually like the lighting conditions that they have, as well as the watering routine. Some people might be what they call overwaterers, where you're overwatering the plant. Some people are like me, where I just don't water my plants. That's more of like the underwaterer. I mean, I can't really say that I'm lazy. I think it's more so I'm just a little bit more bogged down with a lot of things that go on with my life. Work is super stressful and it's super busy and very demanding. Working a minimum of 10 hours is quite a bit. And then when I mix making plant videos on YouTube, it just gets to be a little bit much. So sometimes my plant care isn't the top notch, but I'm not complaining because the plant videos that I make, the filming is actually such a joy. And so if you have made it this far and haven't hit the like button or the subscribe button with the notification bell on, please make sure you are hitting that. It really does validate that I'm doing something right, that you're enjoying my plant content, because I literally do strive and think about how I can get a daily plant video out for the plant foldies. And you can see that I have just panned over all of these beautiful Lucky Bamboo. One thing I like about the Lucky Bamboo is I didn't realize, and thanks to Daniel, who is another plant foldie that has been watching my videos for quite some time, he educated me about how the Lucky Bamboo is not necessarily a bamboo, but it is a part of the Dracaena family. And that kind of makes sense. I guess it's more of like the Dracaena sandriana. So with this particular Dracaena, or this bamboo, this one actually doesn't like to be underwater too long. So you got to make sure that you're providing it with a little bit more bright indirect light and just staying on top of the watering. Most Dracaena are low light tolerant, very low light tolerant, and can tolerate not being watered as often. That particular Dracaena is not. And that goes to show that even if a plant is in a certain genus, their care tips may slightly be different. So it's always good to do your research whenever you're adding a plant. Like for instance, I don't know a lot about bromeliads. What I do know is bromeliads are beautiful. There's one that I ended up buying at Kroger actually for such a good and inexpensive price. It's actually not a fussy plant at all. And that really brings me joy, because with my busy lifestyle, with all of the things that are going on in my life, I need plants that are easy care for plants. It always pains me to see a plant go to plant heaven, especially when I can pin it back to just negligence on my part when it comes to the plant care. So plant foldies, let me know if you've ever experienced that, where you're just really overwhelmed with just, growing plants. Like, how do you center yourself? How do you ground yourself to where you can commit to all of the plant chores, whether it's, cutting back dead leaves, whether it's cleaning the leaves, whether it's just simply watering the leaves, repotting. I'd really love to hear your thoughts in the comments. I often ask that, especially during my videos, my plant shopping videos, just because I really love that engagement. I think there's many of you guys that really do engage with me. I appreciate that, but I also like hearing from you guys, because I am also part of learning. It's part of learning from you. If I don't know something about a plant, I am the first one to ask about it. So just keep those comments going. I love learning from y'all. As much as you guys mentioned that you've learned quite a bit from me, that's super exciting, because a lot of my plant care tips are basically from just past experiences with growing plants. It's not really that I was just naturally inclined to know so much about plants. It's literally just growing plants for many decades. And speaking of growing plants, I am just curious to see what is going to happen to all of these Philodendron squamiferum. Kroger may have bought just too many, but again, that's another thing where I live not too too far from this actual Kroger grocery store, so I can check if they actually put it on clearance. If they do, plant foldies, especially the local plant foldies that live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, be sure that you are subscribed to my channel, because again, I like to just do plant shopping videos to where I am I'm showing you the different types of plants that we have available, especially when it comes to the local plant nurseries, also the big box stores. So if you haven't already, please make sure you are subscribed to my channel for those daily 1-hour plant shopping videos. Even when I'm on vacation, I worked really hard to make sure that I have some really fun plant shopping compilations and marathons that are a little bit longer, which means we have more time to socialize and chat on the live premiere chats. And then the plant that I just picked up right here is a plant I just can't add into my collection. That is a China doll plant. I bought one from H-E-B, which is another grocery store. I didn't realize that plant was a very thirsty plant, and I can't really do thirsty plants because I don't really water my plants as often as I should. It is something that I am very transparent about. I am by no means somebody that is a perfect plant parent. I have my ups and downs. And I actually watched a really interesting video by a good friend of mine. Her name is Janae Simone. If you haven't already, please watch her YouTube channel. She has some really great content. The editing is phenomenal, but she has a video called How Do You Deal with Plant Burnout? I think many of us, especially for those that have been growing plants for quite some time, can really relate to just, I suppose, plant burnout. I am slightly on the verge for that, but doing these plant shopping videos kind of reels me back in to realize that you can't be perfect all the time. Your plants are not always going to be thriving, but just the joy of looking at plants, admiring plants, especially whenever you're just out and about. I think that that is what makes plants worth it, whether your plant, your plant collection is perfect. Speaking of perfect, look at that Hydra Helix. Gotta love that Hydra Helix, or the Hedera Helix, however way you want to say it. Some people really have some strong opinions about how I say that, but anyways, we finally found the Philodendron Snowdrift and plant folies. Look at this. Look at all of these Philodendron Snowdrifts. That is phenomenal. That is amazing. I am absolutely loving it. And I am just really in awe to see that we have a bunch of Philodendron Snowdrifts. Now, these are for $19.99. I like the container as well. I just wish it wasn't matte. I mean, it wasn't like actually shiny. I wish they had a matte finish for the glaze. But you can see there are just several different types of Philodendron Snowdrifts. Now, here's the thing about Philodendron Snowdrift. Give it about 3 to 4 years back. This philodendron was extremely rare, highly sought after, unattainable. And now, fast forward to 2024, you can see that at a big, well, not a big box store, but a grocery store like Kroger, where you do your groceries. That's insane. And that goes to show that, again, if you wait long enough for a certain plant, no matter how rare or uncommon it is, it has been shown 100% proven that the plant will go down in price. Some plants will take a lower dip into the plant pricing, but for the most part, you're not going to be paying hundreds and thousands of dollars. I know that the Philodendron Snowdrift used to go for close to $1,000, and now you can buy it at a big box store or a local grocery store like Kroger. Like this one right here has some more green on it, and honestly, I find this really attractive. So if I find one that has a pretty good size leaf and also some of the green, I don't mind some of the green because the green is going to make it a little bit more stable plant. I always get nervous whenever you find plants that are just highly variegated, because it doesn't really help the plant in terms of like photosynthesizing and really getting the nutrients it needs to feed itself. Now, Philodendron Snowdrift, it is a lighter type of philodendron. It is another philodendron that it's more mounding. It doesn't necessarily need to climb up a pole. It is a moderate grower. Some people will argue to say that it's a slower growing philodendron, but it is another philodendron I think that everybody should add to their plant collection. There are a lot of people who do collect philodendrons. I love philodendrons as well, but then again, I'm not exclusively all about philodendrons. I love all types of plants. My biggest plant obsession would be coleus plants. Some people are really not into them, but I like those unconventional plants that you can find. But when it comes to this, you can't pass the Philodendron Snowdrift. Like, plant folies, let me know in the comment section if you want a Philodendron Snowdrift. I am actually thinking about doing another plant giveaway for a Philodendron Snowdrift. When I come back from the Philippines, I will be doing a Philodendron Ring of Fire plant giveaway, maybe 2. We'll see what that looks like. And then possibly purchasing a Philodendron Snowdrift. So if you haven't already, plant folies, I highly recommend either creating an Instagram account or following me at GrowFolds. I do intend to do plant giveaways for plants that some people might have on their wish list. But as you can see right here, I am gonna buy another plant. I already told myself I shouldn't be buying any more plants before I take a major trip to the Philippines. But you know what? When duty calls, my call of duty is to buy the philodendron because it has to be part of my plant collection. And then you can see right here, I'm just going to walk over here and show you guys how beautiful these chrysanthemums are. It is another just nice and beautiful arrangement, but I have to just go back and take a look at those Philodendron snowdrifts one more time. I'm going to decide on which one I'm going to get. And the one that I pick, I would really love to hear your comments, especially in the comments section, about the Philodendron Snowdrift selection that I get. I mean, this is such a cool looking plant find. And my source who keeps telling me what rare plants are going to cycle through, I really appreciate it because everything you've told me has come true. Now, I did hear that Monstera Thai constellation will reach the Rockwall, Texas Walmart on the 27th or 28th. I read that on the Costa Farm Instagram stories. Now, if you are living in that area, I would definitely check it out because I've seen a lot of the Monstera Thai constellations from Costa Farms. They are beautiful. And this is a beautiful Philodendron Snowdrift. I think this is the one I want to get because it's got a lot of the light variegation, but it has that like almost half moon variegation. I think that green alone is going to give it a little bit more strength. And then like right over here, this is another beautiful Philodendron. This one has a new leaf unfurling. I'm hoping that it will safely unfurl to where the leaf won't get damaged. What a beautiful plant as well. It's got 3 half moons that have grown. Now, if I had a bigger plant budget, I would probably buy that one, the first one I picked up, and maybe another one. So Plant Foldies, let me know what you think. And as far as the Philodendron Snowdrift, I'm not 100% sure how its variegation or coloration is influenced, whether it's more light based, where the more light you give it, the more beautiful variegation it's going to get, or is it one of those types of philodendron that it's the initial genetics, kind of like the Philodendron Pink Princess, for instance, where you could flood it with a lot of light, but even if you do that, it still will just give out the random variegation depending on its genes. But you can see they have different sizes of leaves as well. Notice how the ones I picked up had larger leaves. That is the thing whenever you're going plant shopping. Don't settle for a plant just because you need, say, this Philodendron Snowdrift. Really take the time to inspect the plant. I always say look for a plant that obviously has minimal to no damage on the leaves. Look for a plant that has possibly a new leaf unfurling. Look for a plant that might even be root bound, because that means that the plant has been established. Those are characteristics I look for whenever I go plant shopping, because if you see a new growth point or new growth or like a new leaf unfurling, that means the plant has been growing pretty happily and has had a pretty good growing conditions. That's for me. And also, as far as like pest control, just check to see if the plant is healthy and is free of pests. One way to do that is really just looking at the different types of like leaves, the undersides of the leaves and whatnot. But beautiful Philodendron Snowdrift, what a beautiful just arrangement. That is a nice display. I have to give Kroger grocery store a thumbs up, 2 thumbs up actually for this. I wish I could get all of the Philodendron Snowdrifts right here. They are beautiful. Like you can see here, this is another candidate I would consider. Some people will say that, am I afraid of it reverting? Not necessarily, because I feel like there's enough variegation here, but I feel like this plant would also be a little bit more vigorous because there is a little bit green to it, meaning that it will be able to photosynthesize more effectively versus just having that light, high variegation. But again, Plant Foldies, $19.99 for a Philodendron Snowdrift. Do you own one? Would you want one? Do you need me to do a plant giveaway? Please leave that in the comments. And again, Plant Foldies, please make sure you are tuning into my plant shopping videos, my marathons and compilations. They are already scheduled, so you will have a minimum of 2 hours for just a plant party. I may not be able to go into the live chats because I'm going to enjoy my time in the Philippines. I want to be sure that I'm present with my family and friends, and most importantly, I'll probably be filming as well. The time zone is different, so say if it's a 6 p.m. premiere time, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, it will be 7 p.m. in the morning, or 7 a.m. in the morning. So things like that, it'll just be a little bit more challenging to really get on the chats. I am definitely going to miss interacting with people. If you are on Instagram, you'll probably see more activity on that, but it doesn't mean that I will not be responding to all the comments. I will definitely do that. So Plant Foldies, also leave in the comments what kind of like plants you want to see from the Philippines, what you're looking forward to, because I've got a whole iPad worth of storage space to make a lot of plant videos. I will be there for a good 2 weeks, so we're gonna see what that looks like. But again, I really enjoyed just coming out and finding a Philodendron Snowdrift. I had an inkling, like I was already in the middle of packing, but I'm like, let me see what it looks like. And it looks like they might have just unpacked it. So as always, plant foldies, please hit that like button for me. Please, please, please hit that like button for me. And also subscribe to my channel. This is Richie at Growfold. I will see you on the next one. Bye.